everybody, welcome to Bramski Vlogs. I'm Matt Bramall. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and also subscribe to the channel. Nearly at 300 guys, so have a few more on board. Joining this community, we can smash that target and that would be great. So just before I introduce today's guest guys, I want to focus today on the French Alps, the Tarentaise region in particular. The locals are not happy. The businesses, the seasonal workers, the mayors, tourist officials as well are all getting behind peaceful protests this week. They are fighting back. They are having their say on the French government's decision to not open ski lifts for December. They feel this is a catastrophic decision that is going to have real bad consequences for the local economy, because it's a matter of survival for many people at this point. And the videos and images have been circling this week of these protests marching through the alpine towns, making their voices known. And what I want to do, guys, is I want to get a bit of a first-hand account on the ground there of what's going on. What are the views, the opinions, what else is being done at the moment? So without further ado, let's go now to Phil Smith. Phil's going to tell us a bit more about what's happening. Phil, thanks very much for taking the time to speak to me today. First of all, just quickly introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do.
Okay, I'm Phil Smith, and it's a real pleasure to be chatting to Matt today. I run a company called Snoworks, and we specialise in ski courses. You know, people that have sort of been through ski school, got to a certain stage in their skiing and want to take it up to the next stage. A lot of off-piste, a lot of introduction to off-piste, but that whole area, Matt, where people arrive at, which is sort of, we call it the sort of red run, easy blacks possibly, where the terrain really starts to change. So we specialise in helping people to deal with a changing mountain environment. Off-piste is a big area of that, and mostly based in France, but we travel around the whole world running those ski courses. At the moment, I'm here in the Tarentaise area.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw a couple of your videos of the last couple of days. You've been in the thick of the sort of the marches amongst the locals. They don't look very happy. Tell us what's been going on.
Well, we kicked off. We had a great summer here in the Tarentaise because, as you know, we got the glacier up in Tignes, the Grand Mont Glacier, and the conditions were exceptional. Although, the whole of France locked down from early March, it reopened for the summer season, which was absolutely fantastic. The conditions, I'm not joking, they must have been the best conditions we've had for a long time during the summer season. So we worked all the summer up on the glacier, and then we were due to kick off our autumn programme. Again, it was a busy autumn programme plan. Lots of instructor training and professional development. So that's the time when racers, ski instructors, they're all busy during the winter. So racers and ski instructors, they want to come out and they want to train in the autumn. So we run a gap ski instructor program, an 8-week gap to level 2, basic level 2. And that was due to kick off in the middle of October. 3 days into our program, lockdown. So the glacier had to close along with the other glacier in France, which led us out. Both glaciers closed, which meant that whole of the autumn program had to stop. So luckily I've been working in Italy and Austria at various times because there were some allowances to work over there. So we had to stop our autumn program along with everybody else here in France, and that hasn't reopened, although there were sort of rumours that we were going to open for Christmas and New Year, but it hasn't reopened. It has reopened for certain groups, okay, which I can talk about in a minute. So there's a lot of people, we know it's worldwide, but I'm mostly focused on the Tarentaise area here. There's a lot of people that are really struggling to make ends meet. Ski instructors, ski coaches, transfer companies, chalet operators, hotel operators, bars, restaurants, everybody that relies on people in the valley to ski, which is the majority of people, and haven't been able to work. So only just recently, we've had some demonstrations going on. We had what was called a procession escargot from Bourg-Saint-Maurice via Moutier. We picked up the people from the three valleys to Albertville. You may have saw a blog that I did. I was driving, but it was a very slow procession, 10K. That was good. That was a good turnout. Flashing lights, lots of noise, and we drove into Albertville and then congregated in a specific area in Albertville where some people gave speeches. And then yesterday we had a big protest down in Bourg-Saint-Maurice. A lot more people turned up for that. Lots of speeches from the various parties, because here in the Tarentaise, well, we're in the high Tarentaise, so right up behind me here is Team Val d'Isère. Drop down a little bit, we've got Saint-Foy. Come down a little bit further, we've got Villaroger, which links into Les Alpes. A bit further, we've got Rosier, which links into Italy. And down where I am here, we've got direct access to Les Alpes. There's a lot of people suffering, a lot of people struggling. And those people are determined to try to get the resorts back open if they can.
How many people would you say are at these protests?
Well, Matt, like all protests, a lot of people talking on Facebook. But when it comes down to it, to get yourself down there physically, a lot less people. So the Bourg-Saint-Maurice, was pretty active. There must have been a few thousand. I would suggest, 3,000. That's just a calculated guess. The drive was a big chunk of time. So it's not, if you're looking to get a lot of people into the protest, that was a difficult one. It meant people had to take 4 hours out of the day, kids at school, driving kids around. So that was a bit more difficult. Maybe 100 vehicles, and not a big procession, maybe 150 vehicles, but it was still okay. Yesterday, a lot more, 2,000 or 3,000, I was saying, Bourg-Saint-Maurice. Then there was another one today in the plan, which I couldn't get to, and then that's leading up to tomorrow in Chambéry, at the prefecture in Chambéry. So I hope to be getting to that. No, not tomorrow, sorry, Saturday. Saturday is a planned protest at the prefecture in Chambéry. Wow. So fingers crossed. It's been a gradual build-up, and each day is getting more and more people. So we're hoping Chambéry will be a big one.
I mean, just help me put things into context here, because at the moment, from what I can see, these demonstrations are only taking place within the French Alps at the moment. It may very well spread in the next few weeks. But I mean, just how important is December for all the businesses, all the workers and all the locals within France and the Tarentaise region?
Matt, this is huge. It's absolutely huge. There are two sides to this. One is getting the resorts open and running. Now, I have to say, all the protests, all the speeches that have been going on, everybody is willing to try to follow the guidelines about offering safe skiing, the mask adherence when you're close to people, the social distancing, bars, restaurants, so everybody is aware that current government guidelines, say that we have to do A, B, C, D, so many people to a ski group, accommodation, etc. So the resorts are happy that they can offer as safe an environment as going to a supermarket and doing your shopping, as jumping onto an aeroplane and flying somewhere. As going down to the petrol station, filling up your car, and then going in and paying for it. So it's not, to get this into perspective, the resorts aren't saying, come on everybody, let's open those resorts out, all come out, everything's back to normal, we're going to be jumping up and down on chairs, singing, getting drunk, having a great time. No, they want to make sure that there is safe skiing for everybody, and they're happy that they can do that. Now, we've got two issues. One is that if we can't get the ski resorts open, nobody's coming out, so there's a lot of livelihoods at stake. The other issue is people coming out from Britain. We know that Tarentaise has a very high British clientele. There's a lot of people that come from Britain, the same as all the ski resorts in the Alps. And at the moment, the British people can't come. They've got the quarantine issues, they've got the lockdown issues, they've got, so it's making it quite difficult for them to come out, which means that the British tour operators are struggling to put a program together. They can't. They don't know who's coming, they don't know when they'll be able to come, they can't block book flights, they can't block book accommodation. So we've now got an issue that the British market in France and in the whole of Europe is struggling. You know, people that want to come, you know, and desperate to come, will find a way. You know, you can still book scheduled flights, you can still get a transfer, or you will be able to. You can still get a transfer up to the resort. You can still book accommodation locally, and there are some sailing companies and tour operators that are still operating. But it's those two things. One, can we get the resorts open? Two, can we get people from the UK back out here skiing?
Is there any willingness from the authorities at any level to, you know, engage? Are they willing to budge or you know, try and find a compromise?
Well, this is what we're still hopeful for, Matt. Very, very hopeful. You know, there is pressure. You know, the resorts are struggling. You know, everybody around here, yes, is aware of the virus and the government regulations concerning the virus, etc., etc. But, you know, locking down and closing down businesses is causing another whole lot of trouble. You know, people can't pay their mortgages, people going bankrupt, repossessions. You know, people have got to put food on the table and they're not out there working. Yes, there is government aid, you know, for certain people. There is government aid and people are trying to work within that. But remember, you know, the government aid doesn't match what you were earning before. So people have built up lifestyles like everybody. That's how much I earn. That's the house I'm going to buy. This is my mortgage. Now that income has been decimated. So people cannot afford to do it. Okay, banks are helping out. Great. Now, banks are putting stops on mortgages for 6 months, a mortgage holiday. You know, the government, both people that are employed, same as in the UK, if they're unable to work, getting government help. If you're self-employed, there is government help as well. So we are getting government help, but it doesn't quite match what you would have been earning would the resorts be open. Of course, we're all aware of that. Everybody's having to knuckle down and just doing their best. Yeah,
I'm sure everybody would probably rather be out there working though and welcoming customers. I've got to say, looking at the image that you're standing, you know, the background you've got, it looks pretty safe to me out there.
Yeah, it's fantastic, Matt. And I think this is one concern. You know, you can still go into a busy supermarket, but you can't come out to the mountains. You know, now I know we understand that one of the reasons why the government is closing down the ski resorts is because they're concerned if there's an influx of patients into local hospitals, you know, with illnesses, with COVID, and then they have the ski injuries on top of that as well, they might not be able to cope. So this is the main concern, you know, and the ski resorts and the authorities have to work together. Okay, can the health services, the hospitals, can they balance those two things? You know, people falling ill from COVID or whatever illness, virus, you know, viruses that move around, and the normal, you know, injuries from skiing. Are they able to cope with that? I think, and that I guess nobody can say. Obviously, the mayors of the villages must be in touch with the local hospitals, because they are saying we want our resorts open. So they must have done their research. They must be comfortable that the local facilities can manage both. So because it's the mayors that are calling for this, and there's a question that you asked just previously, what is happening? Yes, the mayors and the people involved at the top, the decision makers, are meeting with government officials in Paris, are discussing the situation, and, you know, nobody knows at the moment. Dates keep getting put back, they keep getting changed. So at the moment, I think we have a date of the 11th of December. Now, I might add, there are people skiing up on the glacier at the moment. It is open.
Okay.
And the conditions are absolutely amazing. I was up there just on Monday. We ski toured up to the Grand Mont Glacier, and absolutely the best conditions I've seen for a long time on the glacier. Absolutely fantastic. But they've only opened it to certain people. They've opened it to the École Nationale de Ski d'Alpinisme, which is a French ski instructor training. They have a big backlog of ski instructors that need to get their training and need to get their assessments in. So for people that need to get trained and assessed from a career point of view, they've opened it up for. They've also opened it up to the French team, because again, these people are, they are earning a living from skiing.
Yeah.
So they've opened up to those two groups and monitored how many people they can allow on the glacier. Yeah. There is talk, but we're still waiting to hear the definitive answer of opening up to local kids from the local clubs. That could happen as early as next week, which will be another great step, because the local kids here in France, they're not getting up, and a lot of those kids need to be race trained because it's their future as well.
Yeah.
Ski instructors, future ski instructors, future ski guides, future ski racers.
Yeah.
So we're waiting to hear about that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're making me and my viewers very jealous by telling us that you've been up on the mountain. But one final question before I let you go. What's the next step? So in regards to yourself and also the protests within the region, where do you go from into next week? What happens?
Okay, there's a couple more protests planned. Next week is unlikely next week the glacier will remain open for the groups that I told you, ENSA and other organisations like ENSA and the French team, and it may open up to local kids. So gradually expanding who can come up onto the mountain. Bars and restaurants won't open by the looks of it. The supermarkets, obviously selling what's deemed essential goods, will remain open in the resorts. That's next week, and then the next date that we're listening for is the 11th of December, I believe. I'm sure somebody will have better information, but I believe it's the 11th of December, because that's when the lockdown here is meant to finish. The lockdown itself that the UK has been through. So that should finish here on the 11th of December. Then we have to wait to hear whether the resorts will open or not. There hasn't been a definitive answer yet. Now, there is talk there was rumours going around that the resorts will open over Christmas and New Year and not the ski lifts. So we all got fairly excited about that. We'll start running ski touring, cross-country and ski touring. We have a big percentage of our clients that are into ski touring. So ski touring in team in December, the third week in December, was very attractive. But we don't know whether that will be permitted 100%, because even though there were rumours going around, that in itself presents problems. There will be no security de piste, which, if you're backcountry skiing, is okay. We don't rely on security de piste anyway. We rely on, the high mountain rescue. But the high mountain rescue has obviously cut down its staff in the time of lockdown. So will they be able to get themselves back up and running for an influx of ski tourists? So if the resorts if the mountains open but the lifts don't, there are going to be a lot of people going ski touring. Yes, it's healthy. Yes, it's great for fitness. Yes, you're away from everybody. But should you have an injury, will the rescue services be able to get to you? So this is what everybody is waiting for now. The other thing that we're waiting for, as you've heard, is that Switzerland is currently open for skiing. So a lot of people from France are thinking, okay, well, if I can't earn a living here, I will go over to Switzerland. So there was a recent news article that President Macron was thinking about possibly prohibiting people travelling between France and Switzerland. But again, these are all just rumours. Nothing is set in stone. Yeah. So I think we'll have to wait for this next date, the 11th of December, and then we will know for sure what's going to happen. Until that point, I think everybody will just be rumours, discussions, and protests. Yeah. We can see.
Phil, listen, you've given a real good insight there into the scale of the problems that are facing the industry, and we've not even really kicked off this season yet. So first of all, thanks very much for taking the time out of your day to sort of explain all of that to me and the viewers. But also, I wish yourself and your business and all your friends out there the best of luck, and hopefully on the 11th of December you get some good news.
That's what we're looking for, Matt. 11th of December, good news. You can see the snow behind me. We've got more snow coming in. Let's keep our fingers crossed that the snow sports industry will be able to do something in this area for people that want to come out and ski, snowboard, telemark, whatever. Fingers crossed. 11th of December, I think we will have a decision.
Thanks, Phil.